Hello there, it's time now for SME on Point, and yes, as Nompu said, it's all about love. Today being Valentine's Day is one of the busiest times for business owners in the floral industry. As customers flood them with orders for pretty petals, they have to find ways to satisfy all those who order. But how do they sustain themselves on other dry days, and how do they make the most of the season and capitalize on it? We've asked the co-founder of Duba Florist to squeeze us in her very busy schedule today to let us in on how business is going and how to keep it, and also how to start this business. As you know, here on SME on Point, we're big on people starting their own businesses. Mufe Siala is the co-founder of Duba Florist. Thank you so much for joining us on SME on Point. You must be very busy today. Tell me about the preparations that you've had to do since the beginning of the year for just today, and what you've had to do to satisfy your customers.
Thank you for having me. Today is indeed a very busy day. I mean, I had to, be busy with deliveries before I got here. But what we had to do a lot of planning, that it also involved getting our customers and reminding them of this day and preparing them, and our trips to the flower market, making sure that we get the prices right, because they do increase most of the time. So those are the preparations that we've been doing.
Yeah, speaking about going to the flower market, our colleague Glorious Fakomusi did an excellent insert looking at the price factors or the cost factors that influence prices of roses. Is this what you are also seeing locally when you go to the flower market, and how is this impacting on the prices to your customers?
This is what we are facing recently. The prices go up very bad, and most of the times we have to sort of communicate with our clients because they are not used to those prices. But we have to try and communicate with them and let them know of the price increase, but they do really affect us.
Right. Let's talk about what's in season in 2025. What are the arrangements? You've brought us a very beautiful bunch here. Okay. And I see that baby breaths still play a big role in any arrangement, as they seem to somehow elevate the whole arrangement of a bouquet. Tell me about what's in season, what's on trend.
What is on trend is obviously a big bouquet. Big bouquet is 100 roses, and obviously the jip, just exactly how.
Tell me the significance of 100 roses. Why 100?
I think it brings out the luxury.
Okay.
It gives that feel. It's big enough.
Yes.
So that is what it is.
Yeah, and I interrupted you while you were still telling me about the trends.
Yes, this is what's on trend. A lot of ladies are into this. They're into something. I mean, the baby breath or the jip, it just elevates the bouquet. It makes it, like I said, it brings out that luxury feel onto the bouquet.
I remember the first time I met you was, I think, in 2022, if not 2021 or 23, right there.
Yes.
You were operating in a brick and mortar.
Yes.
You had just opened your doors. Things have since changed. You are not operating there. You've had to close that shop and are now operating online. What influenced that change?
So when we started our business in 2018, we were online based, but we wanted to transition. We wanted to attract more customers. We went on, found a building or a store that we could operate in. Yeah. We did operate for a few months. Unfortunately, rent was just too much. Things are quite expensive, although we were able to reach a lot of customers, but that did not go very well, and we then had to go back to online, and we're hoping that one day we still go back to a physical store.
There have since been so many florists that I have spoken to and interacted with. How's the competition in this market?
I would say the competition is very, very big. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of us that are doing the same business, but it should never discourage anyone.
Yeah. How do you at Dubai keep yourselves in the competition, in the line of flowers?
We are big on customer service.
Yes.
So we serve with love. We do not just do it. It's not just about us. It's not about the competition or anything. So this is what separates us from other people. I mean, since we started from 2018, I still get to service the same clients from 2018 and Valentine's Day, simply because of our great service.
Give me the top 3 things that our viewers who are loyal followers of SME on Point need to do if they want to get into this business, and what will keep them in business.
Okay, I'd say number 1, do your research. Number 2, make sure you do it for the people. Number 3, if you want to start your florist business, you need to advertise more. You need to work on your advertising.
Well, let me not keep you. I know you have a lot of deliveries to make today.
True.
Mufe Siala is the co-founder of Duba Florist, and she has visited us today on the Day of Love, as Nompu calls it, and to talk about the business and how you can get into that kind of business. And I do hope that you are, wherever you are, enjoying your Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining us on SME On Point.
Thank you.
With the budget speech just the days away, South Africa's small businesses are eagerly waiting to see how the government plans to support them in 2025. According to Lula, an SME financial services provider, the sector is under immense pressure, with turnover dropping by 50% year-on-year due to high interest rates and weaker consumer spending. This has resulted in the South African economy showing almost no growth in 2024 and actually shrinking in the third quarter. The Chief Risk Officer, Garth Rossiter, who is no stranger to SME On Point, joins us to break down SME expectations ahead of the budget speech. Garth, thank you so much and happy Valentine's Day. I hope you are enjoying it wherever you are. Tell us about, first of all, the factors that you think the minister should consider, or everything that you think the minister should consider about SME business. I have with me the co-founder of Duba Florist, who tells me about why she has had to, move from a brick and mortar and go online because rent, for instance, something that was not making business. How do you think the finance minister can structure his speech to accommodate businesses that you service as Lula, as well as like those that co-founder of Duba Florist, Mufe, runs?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I think the experiences of SMEs are not communicated as widely as you'd expect. We've got a lot of data on SMEs and seen how they've performed. And as you mentioned, we've seen turnover of these businesses dropping about 50% over the last 12 months. So that's driven obviously by the underlying economy, which has been in a very poor state. We saw negative growth in the third quarter of last year, and things haven't really turned around. We've seen certain sectors really, really struggling. In terms of what the minister really should be looking at is doing what government should do, in our opinion, and that is focusing on the basics. So we hear a lot from the minister about the government creating jobs. That, in our opinion, is not where government is best placed. What government should be doing is creating an enabling environment for SMEs in order to create those jobs for them. Yeah. So what that means is the government should really focus on infrastructure. I mean, we've seen how many times the issues of logistics and ports causing problems for exporters and importers, transport across the country, our roads are in a state. Just keeping the lights on, electricity and water. So the basics, if you can get those right, you create an enabling environment for SMEs and they'll want to invest. At the same time, obviously, SMEs, as your co-founder in studio with you has found, interest rates have been exorbitantly high for a long time. So that's not going to be changed in a budget speech, but that has put a lot of pressure on consumers. They've had very little disposable income. So things like florists do tend to struggle in these environments, and those high interest rates really, really damage small businesses. So that's what we're seeing in the market. But in terms of what the minister should be focusing on, we believe it's for getting the basics right, not trying to be the job creator, trying to create an environment so SMEs can create the jobs.
Yeah. Garth, let's talk about things that have been done in the past or previous in the last 2 or so years. One of the things is the introduction of I think it was the red tape department to help with the red tape. How much have we seen those coming through to actually help businesses with the same red tape? Because they're still complaining. I host many of them on this show here, and red tape is still a real issue.
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd see that as much as I see it, and that's one of the biggest problems. It's not easy to do business in South Africa, and what we've been pushing the whole time is the government does say the right things. They just each year we hear SMEs are important. SMEs create 50% of the jobs in the country. It's 34% of our GDP generated from SMEs. So the words are there, but there's nothing that really happens in the back to to enable them to operate. In fact, government should step out almost entirely and allow an SME to operate. And what happens then is they're profitable, they're allowed to grow, they're allowed to make profits, and that actually increases your tax revenues. So it's actually a double benefit here. It's like you're doing less. The tax money you do have, you can spend on the infrastructure and the things that you should be working on, and the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah. I know that you're in the business of lending out money as Lula, but government itself also has its own funding and grant mechanisms that it has to help. Are we seeing the effectiveness of those, or do you find more of them still knocking on your doors to get loans with yourselves?
Yeah, I think businesses at different stages need different types of funding. So definite grant funding is of benefit to businesses that are starting off, for example, who don't have cash flow, who've got more of an idea, and they've got a plan. And I think that's really what where government grants come into play. Where we work with sort of businesses that have been trading a little while, have cash flow, and we support them to get to that next level. So there's a place for everything. And I think it's just a case of understanding your business and understanding where you are and what sort of funding you need at any point in time.
All right, Garth, let's wrap it up here and wait for next week, Wednesday, when the Finance Minister tables that budget to see what is contained in it for the SME industry and see if there's anything, that could help them this year of 2025. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us here on SME On Point. We really appreciate it. And that is all that we have on SME On Point for this week. As I always say, please remember to support small businesses in your communities, and let's make those rands and circulate. And by the way, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Our handle is @SME On Point.